Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पातञ्जलि प्राञ्जलिना नतोऽस्मि। हरि ओम। The philosophy of life or the sadhana starts with observation. If we lack something in our life, it is the acute sense of observation. We work, we act, we do the things, but we do not observe. Observation leads to thinking. So we don't observe and we don't think. Just observe the life that we are leading. We come to a conclusion that the life that I'm leading is nothing else but being conscious of something and responding to what I am conscious of. Think. Life is nothing but being conscious of something and responding to what I am conscious of. I become conscious of my wife and I respond as a husband. But if we deeply observe, the very fact that you're conscious of something is itself erroneous, wrong. Needless to say, the response is also wrong. I see a car as a car, and I conclude my observation that it is a car. And the response is, I'm going to drive it. I'm the driver for this car. Both of them are acceptable norms in transactional world or vyavaharika satta. And since everyone unanimously agrees to this opinion because they have similar observation, we think the world that we live in is the real world. A little deep thinking would tell us that the car that I call car on a deeper aspect is assemblage of certain things. Those assemblages, the metal, the fuel, the wood, the iron, they are again assemblage of something. But the very first sight, I only focus on the assembly, Bhuta Sanghat. And that's it. I stop my knowledge there. I don't penetrate further into it. Even though the science has made me aware of what are the constituents of the things, I don't look at my tea and coffee and say it is full of protons and neutrons. I don't say that because I am conditioned to the appreciation of things as they are in terms of use of my consciousness. So the whole thing in the life boils down to what is the use of consciousness that you make. A very superficial use of consciousness shall give you a shallow, superficial knowledge of the object. A deep cognition of any object, a more application of consciousness will give you more knowledge about the object. Mind well, the apparatus or the intellect of the highly evolved soul and a very ordinary mortal soul is same. The consciousness is same. What varies is degree of application. A Jivan Mukta looks towards the life in the same manner as we look. Only thing is a degree of application of consciousness is full. Ours is superficial or partial. Our consciousness can be compared to a candle. So we hold the candle, and in the flame of the candle, that is the consciousness that we apply, whatever is lighted, we consider that as the world. When we study new subjects in our colleges, universities, and researches, we are trying to take this flame of our candle into different areas. As the candle moves to different areas, different subjects and objects are enlightened. We call it as knowledge. It is not knowledge, but it is just expansion or exploration of new area by the same candle. With little bit of work, you can increase the scope of the flame of the candle. More steady the flame of the candle, and more larger the size of the wick of the candle, more things are seen in the light. We call such person a knowledgeable person. Why? Because he is able to see too many things, because his light is wider than the light of an ordinary person. The flame is little wider. Sometimes a person is born with a much wider flame and he is able to enlighten a little larger area. We call such a person as scientist of the century, Einstein. But the fact remains that the flame of the candle, howsoever big it may become, unless it assumes the shape of so much width that everything is enlightened, the exploration shall continue. This practice of increasing the dimension of the flame of the candle is called science. And the art of making this flame universal ubiquitous like a sun is called yoga. The entire application of the flame is made to external areas, to explore new areas externally by the science. Yoga works on the flame, not on the subject. The aim of the yoga is to increase the size of the flame to its maximum, thus far no further, so that there is no need to focus on externality. It automatically gets enlightened because now the flame has reached the full size. Technically, the observer has become the flame. In such situation, nothing remains hidden from the light. So, cognizing an object through the light is what we are doing on everyday basis. Cognizing the light itself, being conscious of the consciousness, is the art. Being conscious of inert things with the help of consciousness is daily life. Because the flame, when it is flickering and smaller in size, it does not give adequate knowledge. Such partial or inadequate knowledge then gives erroneous impression in the mind. The flame that is flickering and not strong or powerful, not fully illuminated, when it falls on the rope, a feeling that it may be snake arises in the mind. With the feeling that it is a snake, the body starts shivering, the sweating starts, fear comes into the mind, there is a jittery condition of the mind, and the mind starts thinking about escaping from that snake, which is basically not existing. All this happened simply because the light was dim and flickering. Two inherent defects of the light. The flicker of the light, non-steadiness, unsteadiness of the light, and the dimming of the light is the result of a rajas and tamas. When the light becomes steady and increases in its strength or glow, sattva-guna arises. So the obstacle which does not let the light focus properly and enlighten the things around us is because of the obstacles that we have created. Those obstacles are called antaraya. Vyadhisthana, samshaya, pramada, brahma, darshana, analabdhatvam, anavastitvam. 9 obstacles have been described and studied by us. Because you call rope a snake, the effects are called vikshepa sahabhu. Dukkha daurmanasya angasya ejatvam shwasa prashwasa iti vikshepa sahabhu. Because we call it as a snake, we start shivering. We feel fear in the mind. Similarly, by not knowing the life that we are leading, the result is dukkham. The irony is we are constantly suffering from dukkham, yet we are doing everything that can produce dukkham. You cannot find a solution to the problem by becoming a problem to the problem. And that is the reason anything that is externalized cannot find the solution to the problem. To know the solution, one has to work on internal aspect. The work is required to be done on the flame, not on the subject that is enlightened. In a dark room, which is this universe, which is dark for us because we do not know the universe. We do not know the Srushti of Lord. And we cannot know the Srushti of Lord with the minute candle light that we have. Because our light, that is intellect, is small and flickering. Neither the width is there to see everything, nor the steadiness of the flame is there to focus what is exactly being seen. So what is seen is partially seen and everything is not seen. We cannot know what is happening in America right now because our flame is focused on a small area called a room where we are sitting. And we do not know who are listening, who is talking, what is the cell phone, what is the speech that is coming out, because none of them are lighted fully. So whatever little flicker of light is showing me, I call that as my knowledge. And because it is superficial, small, hazy, foggy, I give a name to that as my world. And everyone being faggy, it is all the blinds have assembled in a room and they have concluded that there is no light. The blinds, when they assemble, they cannot decide whether the light is there or not. Similarly, in this world, all have assembled and agreed to a common thing that this is the world. You have to be born, you have to marry, you have to make money, be happy, go to socializing, shout at somebody, be angry with somebody, because everybody is doing it. Commonality of stupidity does not mean it is a wise thing. A yogi knows the whole world is stupid in its content. So he does not think of anything that is external. He starts his work on the flame. He realizes two aspects of the flame. One, I have to increase the scope of the flame so that more and more things are lighted till the time maximum scope of light is achieved. And second, I cannot see anything clearly unless the flame is stabilized. That is the reason why a yogi works on the flame which is called mind. Mind is the flame. Mind is the illuminator. And the principal element in the flame is the wick. That wick is the intellect, the buddhi. There's a constant supply of oil coming to the wick. The oil is consciousness, ever present, supplying to the intellect, the wick. The wick getting lighted in a limited manner through the environment, which is buddhi, reflecting the consciousness around to make us aware of things around us and make us aware of ourselves. When the yogi starts working on the flame, he realizes that I have to first steady the flame and increase the size of the flame so that more and more light can be shed on the things around. He is not interested in seeing what is around. He is least focused about the world around, because he says whatever is there in this world will be anyway enlightened if I work on the flame. The whole stupid world works on the world to alleviate the pain and the sorrow and the sufferings of life. It is like taking mud in the hand and searching for the cleanliness. It is as stupid as that. Anybody who is trying to find a solution to the sorrow in the world shall only land up getting more sorrow. That is why Gautam Buddha gave the first cardinal truth in life. World is full of sorrow. The Yoga Shastra, right from first sutra, talks of looking inward towards the buddhi, towards the flame, towards the antakarana or the chitta, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. The very first second sutra after Atha Yoga Anushasanam focuses on this flame. It analyzes that the variations in the flame, the flickering, is because of antaraya, which are 9 just now described, resulting into 4 vikshepa sahabhuhu. So a yogi starts working on stabilization of the flame. When the flame is stable, the glow increases, more and more things are enlightened. And the technique, the practical technique of stabilizing this flame is tat pratishedhartam. That means those obstacles, for their removal, tat pratishedhartam ek tattva abhyas. Again and again, mind well in yoga abhyasa. Concentration is the key word. For that matter, concentration is the key word everywhere, including the transactional world. You do your job successfully only when you concentrate. Right from eating to sleeping to doing any intellectual mathematical calculation, concentration is required. Concentration is an art. It has to be mastered by a constant practice called abhyasam. Where does this practice start? Oh, sir, it starts in the jungle with Padmasana. The most wrong feeling about concentration is this concept. Concentration is a 24-hour activity to be undertaken by a serious sadhaka. Whether you are reading Upanishad, whether you are eating, whether you are putting on your shirt, whether you are folding your clothes, whether you are washing utensils, whether you are singing, whether you are dancing, whether you are brushing your teeth, whether you are looking at your face in the mirror to apply some beauty product, whether you're sleeping, whether you're relaxing, concentration is the key of life. A concentration is only possible when Mind is end work that is undertaken. Concentration means exclusion of everything except the thing that you're doing. If you're listening, just listen. A tiger looks at its prey. That time he focuses on the prey, the movement of the deer, which direction the deer will run, how should I pounce upon the target. He is oblivious of everything around him because his focus is the deer that he's about to catch. Immersing yourself into what you're doing, taking a bath. Do the experiment yourself and you realize the importance of concentration. Releasing the water from the shower. Observe how hasty, how speedily, how recklessly we do it because the mind is not steady. Focus on the shower that is coming, the water coming on the body. See the heightened feeling that you get from the warm water. The feeling got heightened because the concentration came in the bath. Look at your mind, what it is thinking when you're doing a particular act. You will be surprised to know the mind is not at all there in the act that you are doing. It is actually at some other place. Mind is a great cheater. It always runs away from the act that you are doing. In the office, your eyes are glued on the screen. Your mind is in the home. This is called flickering of lamp. The Jyoti is not steady. This steadying of Jyoti, concentration, is an art to be practiced in all aspects of life. In a transactional world, if we can't focus, what is the point in studying Yoga Shastra? Because focusing on certain objects in Dhyanam is a much higher art. In order to have this art of concentration, tat pratishedhartam ekatattva abhyasa, focusing on one point, Patanjali Maharaj straight away said, there are only 7 alternates possible for you to focus. Mind well, this is concentration practice of a yogi. Who is a yogi? The one whose sattva guna is in good percentage in him. With rajas and tamas, you cannot concentrate. The very fact you became a doctor or an IAS officer or a Harvard scientist is because you had higher sattva guna. Because of the tamas and the rajas, those who failed in the 7th standard, 12th standard, which we called them as dull-witted, dumb people, the dumbness is tamas and rajas. Sharpness, purity, shveta, sattvaguna, prasannata, smile, helping attitude. So, in order to develop the concentration, which is the key to stop the obstacles and make the flame of buddhi better, the 7 antarayas given, 7 parikarmas given, they're called chitta parikarma. 7 alternates given, one being maitri, mudita, karuna, upekshanam, sukha dukkha papa punyanam, prasadam. Focus your concentration while behaving in this world sticking to the 4 cardinal things, Maitri, Mudita, Karuna, Upeksha. That requires concentration. With that itself, we can steady the mind. If that is not happening, then in that case, the second one option given was Prachardana Vidaranabhyam Va Pranasya. Regulate your breathing and focus on breathing. That itself can bring the concentration desired. Immaterial where you are concentrating. What matters is developing the art of concentration and stabilization of mind. So the second option is Prachardhanam Vidaranabhyam Va Pranasya. The third is Vishayavati Pravrutir Utpanna Manasaha Sthiti Nibandini. To do the Nibandhanam of Sthiti, stabilization of mind, Vishayavati Va Pravrutir Utpanna. By focusing on the tip of the tongue, you can get Divya Gandhanubhuti, Gandha Savvit. By focusing on the tip of the tongue, you can get Rasam. By focusing on the Jivva Madhye, center of the tongue, you can get Sparsha Samvit. By focusing on the root of the tongue, Jivva Mule, Shabda Samvit. By focusing on the palate, Talu Rup Taluhu Rupani, Talu Madhye Rupani, you will get different divine shapes. You actually experience them, which is the result of concentration. If that is then the fourth option given is Vitaraga Vishayava Chittam. You can focus on the great gurus and saints and their chitta, which is pure like a crystal. Vishokava Jyotishmati is another option. Focus yourself on the Hridaya Pundarika. Internally imagining, and the imagination that fructifies also the lotus that is in the inverted form, which with the help of Rechak starts looking upwards, situated at around Nabhi, between the Nabhi and the diaphragm. That is the place where you focus. Another methodology of focusing was, and the one which is under study now, is Swapna Nidra Jnanavalambanam. That is the sutra for study today. This is the sixth Chitta Parikarma, sixth method of concentration. A very misleading sutra. The sutra says, Swapna Nidra Jnanavalambanam Va. By taking recourse, alambanam, to Swapna and Nidra, you can focus your mind. Sounds so paradoxical. In Swapna, you get enormous amount of absolutely weird figures. Is Patanjali trying to concentrate on those figures? And in Nidra, I am not aware of anything. Where do I focus? That's why there are enormous amount of interpretation of this sutra. Remember, Patanjali Yoga Sutras are extremely meaning-packed. They are sutra. It is a sutra grantha. That is why Bhashyam are the only source. The limited intellect cannot interpret it properly. Only the one who has experienced the yoga, the samadhi, that Rutambara Buddhi, if they become Bhashyakara, then it is possible to understand. That is called Sampradayika Abhyasa. You cannot just pick up any book written by a Western scientist or a theosophist or somebody and start reading Yoga Shastra. We will be misled. Right therein, if you take a couple of books, and I've read them, they are very, very misleading. So we can't be leaving. Earlier also I mentioned Tattva Vesharadi, Rajamartanda Vritti, Vijnana Bhikshu, Swami Vivekananda. These are our four main people, saints, to whom we go to ask the meaning of the sutra. And the meaning of this sutra is Swapna and Nidra can be taken as a recourse for concentration. How? For that, as a sadhaka, we need to understand what sleep is. The knowledge of sleep, both from the science as well as from the yoga, both are required to understand this sutra. We all know that after the dreams are over, I say I was dreaming, and after the sleep is over, I say I was sleeping. Which clearly means that me as a real I was even awake in the sleep and in the dream. There was some witness to the sleep and to the nidra. That which witnessed the sleep, that which witnessed the dream, and me, I feel they are different. Except I was sleeping, I have no idea of what happened in the sleep. Why? Because the conscious I in the wakeful state cannot be the same witness in sleeping stage, which itself means that the witness, the original witness of all the three avasthas gets divided into each avastha apparently. About the Jagrut avastha, I am aware of everything. This is also consciousness, but it is compartmentalized consciousness for the awakened state. So that which is the witness for dream and sleep, I am not aware of that witness. But if I am able to identify through the art of concentration, then the way I am watchful and witness in Jagrut Avastha, I can be watchful in dream and sleep both. If I make a statement that I was watching, that I was sleeping, it may sound absurd. But Maharaj, it is possible to observe your own sleep as well as a dream while you are dreaming. At present, I am the part of the dream. In the universe, in the normal world, wakeful world, I am the part of the world, but I am aware that I am different, the world is different. So I am witnessing the world that I am aware when I'm awake. In the dream, I am playing the dreamer, but the dreamer is not seen by anybody else. In the sleep, I am asleep, but nobody is observing that I am asleep. That observer of sleeping state, that observer of dreaming state is also consciousness if I am able to, with the concentration, become the witness of the nidra, then I will be able to observe my own sleep. Swapna kalika jnana and nidra kalika anubhuti. Because in nidra there is no jnana, only experience. And in swapna there is jnana. The process of consciousness of wakeful state slowly entering in dream state and sleep state is alambanam for concentration. It sounds very strange, but there are yogis who are able to do the concentration on these three avasthas and take the consciousness of wakeful state and hold on to it while going into dreaming state and in sleeping state. That is the time when the yogi is sleeping and is aware that he is sleeping. Not after the sleep, during the sleep. Such a sleep where the yogi is aware of the sleep while the sleep is happening is called yoga nidra. One of the greatest yogis, who was the disciple of Swami Shivananda, Swami Satchidananda, developed this art of yoga nidra, has written books on it, and used to experiment on yoga nidra. Swami Ram also experimented on yoga nidra. He is the same Swami Ram who went to US and subjected himself to Menninger Foundation for scientific experiments. And in the scientific experiments conducted in the medical college laboratory, he was able to stop the heartbeats for 17 seconds demonstrably and increase the heart rate to 300 without any side effect. At the same time, when the heart rate was 300, no blood was pumped from the heart because the ventricles were contracted and only the atrium was fluttering. These are the observations of medical college laboratories. The right hand was showing the temperature different than the left hand with a temperature in gradient of almost 4 degrees. This is what a yogi can do. So we need to understand what is the sleep all about. The Jivatma enters into subtler planes. It is the consciousness entering into subtler planes. When it enters into subtler planes of dream and sleep, the connect of consciousness with the wakeful world or the physical body becomes thread-like. The whole body is now attached to the consciousness just by a thread. This happens when we are going slowly into the sleep. Because the consciousness is only attached to the physical body like a thread, the pranas, which are ultimately, remember Kena Upanishad, yad pranaha na pranite, yena pranena praniyate, that which works on prana. So consciousness, when it has become thread-like, the pranas also become weak. With the result, the body comes slowly to rest. Because the pranas are now becoming weak, the organs also start functioning meekly. The heart rate drops, the respiratory rate drops, the brain has its own functioning which slowly starts coming to rest. And that is how we enter, or the consciousness enters into subtler planes. What has happened? The consciousness is one. Because we are not able to see the consciousness in full, the part consciousness that we were aware when we were awake, now the same consciousness has gone into the second stage avastha called nidra avastha, swapna avastha, and then from there it moves to swapna avastha. Because you focus on this consciousness, that consciousness which is moving from wakeful state to the dream and then to the sleep state, you become conscious of the consciousness that is going down. Becoming conscious of the consciousness and its splitting is increasing the consciousness. This requires enormous amount of concentration, but as a result, the consciousness that was witnessing the wakeful state now also become witnessing thing of the dream state, and the yogi is able to see the dream as if happening in front of him, the way wakeful state looks to him. Not only that, he continues focusing on the consciousness, and he is able to watch the sleep. And being conscious of the sleep that the physical body is enjoying is called yoga nidra. It is the most refreshing kind of, most stress relieving kind of, most healing kind of sleep one can ever think of. A Jivan Mukta who is constantly basking in the glory of consciousness, full consciousness. I'm trying to tell this in detail because one can visualize what must be happening when Gurudeva was sleeping. Everyone knows he slept very little. It can also give you an answer whether he was dreaming or not, because the dreams come only from the signals and the inputs that are received in the conscious or the wakeful state. All the contacts and the new learnings that are done in the daytime are assimilated in the sleep and the dream time. Wakefulness is assimilation or collection of stimuli. Sleep is storing of stimuli and editing of stimuli. The conversion of knowledge that you receive from different objects in the daytime, in the wakeful time, is converted into memory in the sleep time. Because the work that the brain undertakes is very, very less, since the yogi or the Jivan Mukta is not attached to anything. There are no inputs coming. Dhayato, Vishayan, Pumsa not being there, their brain requires very little sleep to process the memories. The only memories the brain is processing is of Lord. As a result, yogi has Alpa Nidra. Gurudev slept for 2 to 3 hours. And when he was asleep, was he truly asleep or was he witnessing the sleep? When you tie, when a cow herd is brought back by the shepherd and tied in the night in the stable, he is the master. He knows the cows need the rest. Similarly, Gurudeva knew that the Indriyas and the body needs the rest. So he put them to the rest. But the shepherd was awake. And that is why we need to understand that the sleep that we get is of two types: the rapid eye movement sleep and the non-rapid eye movement sleep. Now I'm talking science. When we go to bed, the non-rapid eye movement starts. It has 4 stages. In the first stage, which lasts for about 5 minutes, we are sleeping and we are slowly, the consciousness is sinking into what is termed as a sleep stage 1. In the stage 1, we are half awake and half asleep. It is a Sandhya Kala, the borderline between awareness, wakefulness, and the sleep. At this time, if anybody disturbs, you are awake right away. But within 5 minutes, this N1 or the first stage enters the second stage, which is called light sleep, which lasts for about 10 to 60 minutes. After this 10 to 60 minutes, you enter into deep sleep stage 1 or the third stage. At this stage, the respiration steadies. The heart rate steadies. The temperature of the body drops. This is called slow wave sleep. The waves called delta waves come during this period. Then comes the fourth or the deepest sleep, which lasts for about 20 to 40 minutes. In the deepest sleep, you are almost in coma. There is a very thin line of difference between coma and deep sleep. In fact, you will not even feel pain in deep sleep. It is the grace of God that at this stage, after the deep sleep, by some mechanism known only to God, we are brought back into the level up. Otherwise, a level little down below that is death or coma. This NREM sleep then goes into REM or rapid eye movement sleep, where the respiratory rate increases, the heart starts responding, but the body is paralyzed. In the deep sleep, it has a relationship with the refreshing feeling that you get. Because the NREM sleep is related to cleaning the brain of all the dead material, while the REM sleep is concerned with restoration of memory. So, except the eye and the respiratory rate becoming faster, the whole body is paralyzed during REM movement. And this is the sleep where dreams dominate. Everyone gets the dreams. There is no one who can say, I don't get the dream. Everyone gets the dream. Few can recollect. Non-recollection of dream is a sign of a good sleep. The sleep is coordinated by two things. One is called circadian rhythm, which is mainly related to the light. Whenever the universe is lighted, you feel awake. When the light goes down, we feel sleepy, because when the light goes down, we secrete a hormone called melatonin, and that is how we feel sleepy. Even an artificial darkness leads to sleep. That's why many people can't sleep if the lights are on. Mind well, it's quite surprising that the blind people find it difficult to fall asleep, because for them it is dark every time. And the second is called sleep drive. You have an adequate number of hours required in the sleep. Sleep drive is sleep hunger. It is same as food hunger. Only thing is, if you have a food hunger and if you don't eat food, you can still carry on. With sleep drive, it is not voluntary. If you are deprived of sleep and if there is a sleep backlog or hunger, you will be forced to sleep. At the height of sleep hunger, even the body lets you sleep with eyes wide open, taking 1 or 2 seconds naps also. We are not aware of it. This particular sleep pattern that we see is a sleep pattern when this 86 billion neurons of the brain, which are constantly sparking at every place because of the thought process, they are giving sparks. 86 billion neurons interconnected with each others. All those sparks in the sleep are dying down. In the process of dying down, few sparks still keep coming, which are called spindles. And that is how this sleep comes over us. In the deep sleep, some of the brain cells deflate and create a space between them in which a dead material or the waste product called beta amylate is thrown out, and that is cleared by the cerebrospinal fluid. So it is a scavenging action that happens in sleep. That is why when we are waking, you feel fresh. You say, oh, I had a good sleep. Mind well, during the sleep, waste products are removed, purification happened in the deep sleep, an REM sleep. In the REM sleep, whatever you learned is now processed and stored as knowledge. So strong is the relationship between sleep and the memory that when you have a bad memory or a bad incident, you should not go to sleep right away, otherwise it gets processed inside. It has been used as a treatment methodology in some of the psychological disorders. Science is still learning about the intricacies of sleep. In case of yogi, he is far ahead in controlling the consciousness, which is the witness of dream and sleep. So, sitting in the position of meditation, yogi at command observes the consciousness slowly sliding into dream, observes the dream, goes further down, observes and watches the sleep. He gets refreshed as much as by the sleep, and yet he was awake during the sleep. The statement sounds very paradoxical. The paradoxicality of the statement is simply because awareness and sleep, awareness and sleep is going on simultaneously. Such a sleep is called yoga nidra. You'll be surprised. The Indian government hasn't recognized yoga nidra, but US Surgeon General of US Army has recommended yoga nidra as the therapy for pain, chronic pain, and psychological disorders. So, by focusing the concentration on the consciousness that sips in for the dream and sleep state, it is possible for a yogi to achieve a high level of concentration. That finishes the sixth chitta parikarma for chitta sthirata. And the last parikarma, which we all are aware, so far in all the satsangas that we did, Dhyanam, when it was taught to us, we were always told, take a Ishta Devata Murti and focus on that Murti. That is the seventh and the last Chitta Parikarma, or the seventh or the last methodology of focusing the mind at one place for Chitta Sthirata. So the 39th Sutra is Yatha Abhidhanat Abhimata Dhyanat Va Abhimata Dhyanat, or by meditating according to one's predilection, whatever is abhishta, by dhyan of that abhishta, you can stabilize the mind. This seventh chitta parikarma or the methodology is the commonest methodology used by everybody. That is why, what is our abhishta? Our abhishta is Devi, Devata, Shaligram, Murti, Gurudeva, stone, crystal, yantra, tantra, mantra. All these are appendages where it is our abhishta. Even the nama that we take is basically an abhishta. Ability to focus or concentrate on the abhishta is called dhyanam commonly. But mind well, dhyan is a separate aspect. We are going to see dhyana, dharana, samadhi. Then we will discuss in detail about what is dhyana. This focus, concentration is also dhyana, but the wider connotation of dhyana is going to come when we are going to see sadhana pad. So by 7 different methods, Patanjali Maharaj has told us that you can focus the concentration, and with any one of these, you will achieve qualification for moving to Samadhi. You will be at the Dwaram. You will be at the door of Samadhi, not in the Samadhi. This is still not the Samadhi. You will be at the door of the Samadhi. So, by doing 7 different methods, we can obliterate 9 different antarayas. Naturally, we can destroy the Vikshepa Sahabhu, which are 4 in number, and the prominent Vikshepa Sahabhu being Dukkha. Yogi, first thing that happens to Yogi is he gets rid of the Dukkham. So that is why every Yogi is a smiling, radiating personality with not even an iota of sorrow. Why sorrow is not there? He is constantly focused. Ekagra chitta. Ekagra chittata means dukkham goes away. See, in our day-to-day world, when you do something with focus, if you are reading a book, watching a serial, you automatically forget other things. Your child is suffering from some disease. Your mind constantly thinks of the pain that the child is going through. You feel sad, dukkhi. Amongst that, in that period, in case you are reading a book, for some time, your mind is taken away from that sadness to what is happening in the book. In fact, we commonly say, "Dil behel jayega, ye cheez kar lo." It will help you. At least it will relieve you of the pressure of the pain. What is this relief? You are trying to focus onto something else rather than focusing on that which is painful. Yogi does the same thing. The only difference is we choose the subject in the outer world. To forget A, we try to concentrate on B, but A and B both are in the outer world. Yogi, he focuses in the inner world at the exclusion of the outer world, and that is the reason he is happier than us. So these 7 different methodologies ultimately help us in doing what? By doing this chitta stability, what do we get? What happens to such a yogi? When he focuses and he does these 7 different exercises, any one of them, what does he get? Paramanu paramamhat tattvantaha asya vashikaraha. The mastery of the yogi extends to the minutest atom to infinite magnitude. The yogi becomes master of the universe. The secret which Patanjali Maharaj told us is you focus on anything of the 7 that he's told, and he said, if you focus on any one of them, still you will become master of the world. Why? Because the whole world will bear open itself to you. The true Sat Darshanam of the Vishwa will be there in front of us. Maharaj, mind well, what we see in our world is deceptive. It is not true. Our heart is completely convinced that I exist, my wife exists, everything exists. This is not the true world. We are completely in fallacious world. We are going to see that in detail as we move forward, how the yogi's world is different. What it means is, Gurudeva was in a different world. We are in different world. He was communicating with us in this world, but he was in different world. Hum panchi Paradesi Baba Ani Desara Nahi. Ani Desara Log Acheta Pal Pal Daramahi. Kabir Maharaj says, I am not from this world. साई की नगरी परम अति सुंदर जहां कोई जावे ना आवे. Yogis and masters and Jivan Muktas stay in that world because this world is completely known to them in a different way than the way we know. The way we know the world, we have only collected sorrow in this world. Nothing of this world touches Jivan Mukta or Yogi because he's in a different world. Which are these two worlds? How do they reach to these two worlds? What is the experience of this world? Is the matter of study of Yoga Sutra. We are going to come to a concept called Samapatti. The word Samapatti is the key word in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. What is Samapatti? What happens when we get that? From where the so-called enormous power comes into the yogi's hand. A yogi which has a body like us, a 5.5 feet, 6 feet yogi is able to control and know the whole universe. How this miracle happens. The instrument for this miracle is ability to concentrate. The concentration can be achieved through 7 different means, which then will obviate the 9 obstacles called antaraya, and then it will annihilate the 4 vikshepa sahabhu, the prominent amongst them being dukkha. That is why yogi is dukkha rahita, daurmanasya rahita. Nobody has seen Gurudeva sad. Is it not surprising? How can be there a gentleman who was never dejected in his life? The secret lies in being in different world than this world. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Sanjay, we'll just wait if any of the sadhaks have any questions.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji.
Hari Om.
We have completed ninth sloga today, or it is yet to come through?
No, up to 39th we finished.
Finished. Okay. Now I have observed. I mean, we have mentioned about the observance, focus, and concentration, and all. As you rightly said, when we go to the bathroom or taking shower, so many factors are coming into mind, like how when the pressure suddenly the pressure valve or pressure pump starts, or all those mixing and all. Similarly, when you go to sleep, also I have observed many times that various parts of my body is shutting down, and suddenly it goes off, like. So when we have all these observance, when you drive in a car, you think about so many factors like gear change, or this, all those functioning of this thing. Will it that make so much neurons in your brain and it get congested, unnecessary junk things?
Yes. In fact, every single thought process means firing of neurons at the central nervous system level. So every day there are more and more synapses formed. They call it interconnecting neurons are called synapses. New synapses are formed, and every time 2 neurons connect to each other, there is a spark. Not actual spark, but it is considered as a spark. So imagine a electric circuitry constantly buzzing with activity. So this buzzing, if it is more quantitatively, it fatigues the brain. A fatigued brain creates a lot of waste products. One of the identifiable waste product is beta amyloprotein. Now the fact is, more such congested, quantitative, useless thinking more sleep is required because the brain has to function the next day. And then, unfortunately, such a person being rajas and tamas active, he can't get adequate sleep. That again leads to accumulation of the product in the brain. The ability to absorb new things and memory formation undergoes a heavy pressure, and he becomes irritated. It leads to psychological disturbances. So this is the outcome of thinking which is not needed, one. And second is, when you have ability to concentrate, you are thinking of only one thought. Thinking of one thought helps the brain in firing less neurons. And if that thought itself is of a very high divine nature, then new neurons are formed. I have already mentioned that there is already a research where they found such new neurons. One of the neuron has been named after Gandhi. It is called compassion neuron. For example, in your mind, if you are thinking of a thought that how many poor people on this world are there, how can I help them? This leads to compassion. This compassion creates a new synapses in the brain, and that neuron is called Gandhi neuron. It is demonstrated physically by the neuroscientists in the field of neuroscience. So that is why having less congestion in the mind, less thoughts, having one thought or minimum number of thought, that too divine, is the way forward. Are you?
Yes, Sanjay ji, that is truly I observed that if you are in a ashram, you are very limited thinking and concentration is more into one subject, and you are fresh, you have become more fresh and all kind of thing. Similarly, is that the reason this more of many of the individuals go mad of kind of thing, because of there's so many things are coming into their mind, and it creates unnecessary spark in this thing, and they just get jittery or going mad at some point of time?
There are two aspects to it. One is that if you are having too many thoughts in the mind, that is one part, but every time the thought that comes to the mind has to be processed. If the processing aspect is not proper, let us take example. In the childhood, you had a serious fall and you were bleeding from the wound. Right now, if you are asked about it, you would look at it as some memory. Yeah, I had a fall. Imagine if that incident is played again in your mind like a video, what will happen? You will feel the pain 1,000 times more. So in some people, the processing of memory is not proper. If the processing of memory is not proper, then the bad memories are there as good as life. So imagine you suffering through a bad incident again and again, although the incident is not happening. So that is the reason processing, if it is not compatible the way it should be done, if it is not done, then such bad memories can create havoc in the mind, leading to psychosis or maddening. Even though a thought like, there was a scientist who was searching for infinity. His papers are even very difficult to read, but he went mad because he was trying to search infinity. And in the search of infinity, the thought process that was there, he was not able to control the thought process because there are so many aspects of living. Each of them has its own value and limitation, mulya and maryada. If that is exceeded, it is like a cancer. Cancer is nothing but a good cell multiplying unnecessarily because it doesn't know when to stop. Similarly, if a thought is not processed properly, if a bad memory is not processed properly, then it can lead to even a good memory. You must have heard of the word called hysteria. Hysteria is anybody who is getting a good news suddenly becomes mad. A good news should not be making you mad because he is not able to process the memory. This processing happens with a healthy brain and a healthy sleep. Are you?
Hari Om.
Sanjay ji,
Ji.
if just one question on the conceptually, on the vibrations that occur. Now, you mentioned that delta is when you have REM, and
NREM. Delta is in NREM sleep.
okay, NREM, and
Yes.
then at REM, is there anything?
Theta waves are there.
Oh,
Actually, REM is the sleep where you have the eyeballs are rolling constantly inside. The lids are closed, but the eyeballs are rolling. That's why it is called rapid eye movement, REM.
yes.
And the respiratory rate is faster. And in REM sleep, the dreaming that you are doing, you start acting on the dream. Somehow your body is kept paralyzed by Lord. Otherwise, in REM sleep, a person would get and start even killing somebody because the dream is telling him to kill. But nothing happens physically because his entire body is paralyzed except the eyes and the respiratory rate. In some patients, there is a disease called parasomnia, where this control is not proper, and such people sometimes they get up on from the sleep, they starts walking, they scream, they shout, and sometimes they even beat also the partner.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my question was on the, we have these 7 methods of concentration,
Yes. Yes.
right? Now, one would presume that when you're bringing the same consciousness even into the sleep state, which is getting close to the theta and delta,
Yes.
would that high level of concentration also be associated with focus? And if
Yes.
so, why are, let's say, gamma rays? I don't know whether it's a continuum. I'm just trying to understand, or are they discrete? Because it's the beta and gamma waves which are associated with high performance and high alertness.
Yes.
Ideally, as you are able to focus more, your alertness and your should actually increase, right? I mean, it's because
Yes.
you have that high level of concentration that you're able to keep your consciousness alive. So I just want to know, there's some medical differences in these vibrations, or is it a continuum? Or is delta and theta associated more with sattva, and gamma and beta, which are more performance oriented, associated?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just
Yes.
trying to get some clarity on that.
Yeah. From the point of view of gunas, the gunas do affect the quality of sleep. A person with rajoguna will have a jittery sleep because he has too many thoughts in his mind, because the movement and chalan valana is the sign of rajoguna. A tamasa is always in swoon, deep, not deep sleep, it's swoon to that is called alasyam. So in case of sattva what happens is the number of hours go down. One. Second thing is the dreams that a Sattva person gets are many a times divine dreams, to the extent that a person of Tukarama's stature got his guru in, mantra in the dream. So their dreams are called divine dreams. When it comes to the alertness, remember one thing: all this sleep, brain, waves, everything is something that is happening to Jada. Yogi is focusing on Chaitanya. So when the slave is working, master is not affected. Master is trying to see that the slave is having a delta wave and a gamma wave. Master is observing, identifying with consciousness, and from that standpoint, seeing the manifestation of consciousness. These are two different things. That is the height of concentration. In concentration, when you identify with consciousness, rest of the world is a play. Remember, a drama is being enacted. The person who is watching it as a spectator, for him the drama doesn't affect. So you identify with the person in the theater, not with the person in the drama. Similarly, the consciousness is where you identify yourself with, and you merge in the consciousness. Merging in the consciousness is the concentration. The height of success of concentration is merging into the consciousness. A time comes when the act of concentration is completely dissolved, because there is no one who is concentrating, there is no object of concentration, there is no process of concentration. We are going to come to that in the next sutra, which is called Grahana Grahya Triputi. The 18th adhyaya is going to come now, when concentration slowly increases. And mind well, we had a glimpse of such concentration in our life. Sometimes people literally come and thump your back and say, "Hey, where are you? Are you listening? Where did you go?" You went into some other thought. So what happened? You completely forgot where you were sitting, your friends are around. Now that is just a glimpse. In case of concentration, the whole world is first excluded. The focus is only on what is in front of you. The focus is on you doing concentration on the object of concentration. Then slowly the object The person who is concentrating, the cognizer, the cognate, and the cognition slowly starts dissolving their boundaries. When the complete boundary is dissolved, what remains, sir? Nothing remains. What remains is called consciousness. And that consciousness would know everything. Consciousness would know everything. Means what? I may not be knowing because I am not there. I is not, I in inverted comma is not there. Then what is there? Only knowing. Only knowing is consciousness, knowledge, true knowledge, not knowledge of something. Knowledge. What is flame? If you ask a flame, what is light? What will flame tell you? She will say, I don't know. Why? I am flame. No, no, but because of you, I can see so. No, that is you can see so many things. For me, it doesn't make any difference. I am flame. Wherever I am, everything automatically gets enlightened. So I don't do any effort for it. Why? I don't have to do the effort. Why? I am flame. But did you see that the Madam Flame? Did you see there is something lying there? The flame will say that I don't know. Wherever I go, I enlighten. See, it is a very difficult concept to comprehend through the buddhi because being conscious of consciousness is a very difficult sentence to assimilate in the brain. You cannot be conscious of consciousness because consciousness is conscious. So being conscious of consciousness, it appears to be a paradox. But the fact is, that is the reason why Atma Darshanam, they are not able to describe. I had Atma Darshanam. Upanishad says, if you say I had Atma Darshanam, you haven't had it. If you say I don't think whether I have had it or not, they say, yeah, you had it now. Because who is there to tell you that you tested consciousness? Because there is nothing except consciousness. We cannot even imagine such a situation where there is only one. We cannot think, imagine of a situation where there is only one. And Atman is only one. So that is why being conscious of consciousness, the route towards that is through concentration. And that is why they say it is not something to be described, it is something to be experienced. All this in one sentence Kabira has said. तू कहता कागज की लेखी मैं कहता आखन की देखी तेरा मेरा मनवा कैसे एक हुई रे. Your mind is in different state. Are you?
Sanjay ji, is that the stage called the universe merging with the universal consciousness and you started talking to the trees, animals and all kind of thing?
Why animals and this thing? Char achara bhasha. How do you think Chatambi Swami girl, Raman Maharshi, they used to speak to monkeys. All the monkeys used to come to sort out their dispute. Raman Maharshi got angry with one of the monkeys saying that you beat him, and people were just looking, they could not understand. He spoke to Lakshmi cow. Why do you think he gave mantra in the ear of Lakshmi cow and put her to Videha Mukti? A prani being left into Videha Mukti. What is this? Not only communication with that, communication with anything, sir. The powers. He's a master of the universe, yogi. He can do anything. What do you think these Puranas, what they talk, you feel it is there only the Kapola Kalpita Katha. Agastya Rishi drank the ocean. Is it difficult? The only thing is, they are Sa Ishwara, having all the powers in the world, they do not exhibit it at their will. They exhibit at their divine will. Don't we have incidences in our own Gurudeva's life where he was able to stop the Pancha Mahabhutas from doing the rain pour when the Ganapati, when Hanuman Abhishekam was arranged? He made it stop. Only when the Abhishekam was over, the rain came. Who gave the power? They are masters. They have the power, divine purpose and divine intention with which they work. So they don't work like this. How nice, I can get all the gold at one place. They don't think like that. Why? You're already at divine plane. And divine plane is autonomous system of the universe. Otherwise, is it difficult for a yogi to destroy anything and construct anything? No. But yogi is not an atom bomb. Everything goes as per the universal design, the divine design. They become a part of the divine design. That is why when needed, there is a saint who has made a dead man alive. When needed. Why didn't he do it and go to the hospital and make all the sick people better? No. There is a divine intention which is beyond comprehension of our brain. And since that there are so many things in this universe beyond our comprehension, the only route left for us is prapatti, sharanagati. Hari Om.
Himanshuji, we have time?
Yeah, please.
I now got the answer of one of the, queries that I used to always have. The creation of Vedas. It is said that our rishis were mantra drashta. So they were able to synchronize themselves with the universe, and those universal sounds they could capture. And that is why I think we call Vedic mantras as apaurushaya. So is it that when they are in the state of dhyana, maybe in the next step, what you would be explaining, they can hear the sounds of the universe, and they can capture, nobody else can capture. They're like radio captures the waves of a particular wavelength. Is that the explanation for mantra drashta?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every mantra that we get, that is why we do not understand how Jai Jai Ramakrishna Hari can be a powerful mantra. I can say it right now. But how it is powerful mantra? Why is it that they have not given some other words? Why only Rum, Klim, Glim for Ganapati? Why Om? From where this Om came? They could have come out with a Trum, some other sound. No, Om. That is because they're all seen and heard. In fact, seen is a better word. That's why it is drashta. It is not shrunvantu, drashta, because actually they see it in the avastha called unmani. After the aman avastha, when you tune up, because the whole world is nothing else but vibration. And since the vibration has started from the first primordial vibration, the first sound which is called as Nada Brahma, it is the sound that has taken the shape. That is why Rupam is after the vibration. Energy is first, matter is later. So the energy part in the form of sound energy being primordial energy or the first sound, the science is still focused on the big bang. While the Yoga Shastra talks about bang, the bang means the sound itself, the Nada Brahma, and that primordial sound which are called as the first sound. And immediately after that, the matrukas came, that which became alphabets or varna later on. So those matrukas and the sound, they are mixed to form Vaikhari sound, because the original sound is in Paravani. From Paravani, when it starts getting shaped through Pashyanti and Madhyama, in the Vaikhari form, the first Vaikhari transcription that comes out of that sound becomes the mantra, because that is what we can understand. We cannot even hear the Anahata Nad. Only the yogis can hear that. Hari Om.